Let this sink in for a moment. The lack of financial education cost Americans $450 billion in 2021. 78% of American homeowners are living paycheck to paycheck. And right now, most American homeowners are equity rich and cash poor. That's another word for broke. The media isn't helping you, schools aren't helping you, and the government for sure isn't going to save you. As a top 1% mortgage professional and seasoned investor, I cannot sit around and watch these life-changing skills that I've learned outside of traditional schooling be unused, untaught, and thrown in the trash can. So until these statistics change, I'll be here every single week, preaching and teaching personal and professional finance, information that you can use in your life, however that looks, whether you are 16 or 60. Hey, welcome back to another Happy Homeowner podcast. I have a special show for you today. We have Wendy, I want to make sure I say this right, Poischbeg,
Yes.
with the Everett Chamber of Commerce. And we're going to learn all about Everett today. And before you're like, oh my gosh, I don't care about Everett, stay with us. We got about 15 minutes of really good information here. So whether you're listening to this and you're wanting to learn more about Everett, or you're a past client of mine or a current client of mine and you're not buying in Everett, it's really important to understand what your city's chamber does, what Everett's chamber is doing that's really fascinating right now. Wendy has a great story. And then at the end, I'm going to leave you with the 5 misconceptions about Everett, Washington.
Sounds perfect.
Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so I've kind of understood what Chamber of Commerces are, being a professional, like a mortgage professional. I get invited and I see a lot of small businesses there. I see a lot of real estate agents there. I used to go just to connect with real estate agents, right? Yeah. Tell us, what is the purpose? What is the chamber and what is the purpose of a chamber in not just Everett, but in these cities?
I think most people think about chambers as the great connector. Mm-hmm. They are looking for not only business connection, but also connections with industry, with elected officials. They're looking for ways that they can grow their business. And we are really helpful to think about using that relationship building as the tool. Our chamber had been sunset for 13 years and merged into a new organization. And so we're brand new. And so the cachet is really exciting because people have been lacking of having those really strong associated connection and relationships. And so when you think about a chamber, we've developed ours in thinking about hip, youthful, making sure that we're meeting the needs of today's entrepreneur, which means high tech, high touch, AI driven, technology driven. We are not your grandfather's chamber. We are definitely more modern, more youthful, and our community demands that.
I love that. So this is important. If you're a small business owner, number one, I believe you should be involved in your local chamber. I'm going to be more involved. I have my staff normally go, and now because of Wendy, I will be going to the Everett Chamber meetings. But let's talk, before we get into some really fascinating things about Everett, Washington, and what's going on in this cool city, what is your role with the chamber?
Yeah, I'm the CEO and the do-it-all for you, Dolly, I have to say. We don't have a large staff since we're brand new, so we're building our chamber. We're about 200 members. We think we'll be about 400 before the end of the year. And that's important because as we reach that 400 mark, it lends us to a lot more stability. We want to be that marketing arm of Everett. You know, Everett has some challenges in perception, but there's so many fantastic assets that people aren't talking about, and we want to take that role. So as we grow, more marketing, more advocacy.
See, I love that about your role, and I love that about the chamber, because as a mortgage professional, I relocate people from all over. I used to say all over the U.S. Now it's all over the world with tech and with some of these companies nowadays. My clients aren't just coming from Arizona or from the East Coast. They're coming from other countries, and they don't even know. They say, I'm moving to Seattle, and the next thing you know, they're buying a home in Everett or Lake Stevens or, Mill Creek. So they don't know a lot about these suburbs, if you will. And so I think your role to market the city Market what's going on. Market the neighborhoods, the communities, the businesses.
Exactly. Most folks don't realize because they're blowing past on I-5 that just over what looks to be like a manufacturing corridor is the most accessible waterfront, and with an amazing development. They don't even realize that we have miles and miles of accessible waterfront and waterfront properties with homes that have views, and they kind of like, oh, Everett's just known for Boeing Town, and not even realize, like, yes, surrounded by water.
Right. Well, and an airport, a lot of things going on here in Everett. So here's the other thing that I think a lot of people miss is when you're passing by Everett, and you might have some of these misconceptions that you're going to talk about here in a minute. And by the way, full disclosure, I didn't want to know what these 5 are. I want to learn, and I want to kind of engage and converse with you on these. But I know a lot of these. So I'm born and raised in Snohomish County, okay? So I am probably going to agree with all 5 misconceptions. But having lived here, having worked here, and have a business here, I tell people this all the time. I believe at the bottom of my soul that Everett is the next Kirkland. I truly
totally
believe it. Waterfront, water view, port. I mean, there's so many other amenities that Everett has to offer, but I think sometimes you're right. You drive by on I-5 or whatever it be, Broadway, which back in the day was that 99?
Oh, Brown Rucker at 99.
Yeah. So
Cruising Colby.
As you drive by, you kind of might have this visual perception of whatever it is, and it's just not. So before we get into that too, as far as your role and what you do, what is something that for example, if you're a listener or you're viewing this and you might live in Everett, what is something that someone who lives in Everett or maybe even owns a business or works in Everett would want to know, or why they would want to be a part of the chamber?
I think that people would want to be a part of the chamber because we're known for connectivity and relationships, but that's more than just, hey, I got to know you. When you get people together in a room, the problem solving starts to happen. You never know who you're going to actually meet that day or be associated with an industry roundtable or a panel discussion. You want to join a chamber because we help solve problems. We help you grow your business because we've created an ecosystem that allows you to, be a part of a connected community.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you made a great point when we were talking before the show that whether it's a mortgage professional you're working with or a real estate agent or a plumber or whatever, a roofer, right? I think it's important that you're working with people that are part of your chamber in the city that you live in because they know what's happening. They know what's coming down the road. They're at these meetings, they're in these rooms and having these conversations or hearing these conversations about the future of. And I believe there's so many great things happening here. It's important to know that. I mean, in the real estate mortgage space, the zoning changes for residential, for DADUs.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Or imagine even just having a conversation with somebody from Community Transit or Everett Transit that you can influence a bus stop or you can influence where new roads are punched in that actually hey, food for thought, if this happens in this way, it actually will decrease business, or our school buses can't get, these are opportunities that, we're curating the room. That's one of the things that we do really well. When we put together an event, we curate. We don't just say, hey, this is for everybody. When, for instance, we do an amazing construction and trades mixer, when you think about such a large industry, we bring in the generals, we bring in the subs, but we brought in the developers, and they told us, no, we need to meet final clean, concrete, asphalt. We make sure that those folks are invited. Wow. We need to make sure that we had real estate agents because I've got 2 new developments that are coming in and I'm interviewing. So we brought in folks like that. And so we are really good about curating. Oh my gosh, that's great. So now you got an idea of the role and what goes on there. So as promised, drum roll. The top 5, and I'm really excited to learn this, the top 5 misconceptions about Everett, Washington in 2025. Okay. My first misconception is that Everett is just a Boeing town. And while we think of Everett, we always think about Boeing, but let's be honest, it's not about association, but because Boeing has put Everett on the global map. But in reality, we are much more than just a one company town. We are healthcare. If you think about Providence, I looked at our business licenses, and 30% of our business licenses are made up of healthcare.
Wow.
And that's not just our large hospitals or Optum or Kaiser Permanente. That's also med spas, orthodontal, dental. So we do a lot of healthcare. And if you think that's more than just 5,000 employees, we also are now known for that clean tech and aviation outside of Boeing. Think about Magniex, Zero Avia. We now have TerraPower, Zap, and Helion that are moving us forward in the clean tech sector, and all of that brings clean tech employees as well. We also have really stellar higher education and innovation. Think Washington State University, Everett Community College. They're producing talent in engineering, nursing, and advanced manufacturing. And we have over 11,000 business licenses in Everett. And so that just shows that our economic base is way broader than aerospace alone. And I think that matters because it's a diverse economy and it means stability outside of just what Boeing is doing, which I know is really important to a real estate sector.
So when I first started in mortgage, and back in 2008, of all the years you could get into finance, I picked the best one, by the way. It was Boeing. Boeing was the majority of when I got a Boeing mortgage application, I was like, heck yeah, like this is going to be a good one. And so, it was Boeing. And then now, with Navy and so many other things. So I don't want to spoil your list, but 100%. So number one, Everett is not just Boeing.
Right. Okay. And then number two is Everett isn't attracting new investment. Sometimes I think a common perception out there is that Everett's kind of static and that the big projects are happening in Seattle and Bellevue and that we're just kind of sitting in the background. But when you look at what's actually happening, the reality is that we are in the middle of a major investment surge. A couple of examples are waterfront redevelopment. The Port of Everett has spent over $1 billion on Waterfront Place, and it's completely transformed the marina with restaurants, housing, retail, and public space. It's absolutely amazing. And I walk down there almost every night, and it's just a joy to see all the new development. You're part of the downtown revitalization. Your place down here is just amazing. And then you're seeing, 3 cranes downtown right now, new residential developments, adaptive reuse projects, and investments around the Arena District is completely reshaping the Everett downtown core. Really exciting. And I brought up the arena, and so think about the new outdoor stadium that is being proposed, and that's going to completely change the way our downtown looks and pair that economic impact. When you think about FIFA coming into town and what that's going to draw, we're getting major acts at the arena, which is so. And then the investment in infrastructure. Think Payne Field and our community transit and Everett Transit with the new Gold Line. I can't wait for light rail to get to Everett. It seems like it's just so far out there, but once that happens, you're going to see that it's just set us up for a much longer sustained growth.
You always got to look at the path of progress. You always got to look into the future. And there's so many positive things with, like you said, the light rail, and then the development within what you call infrastructure. And then obviously the port, the marina. I own a boathouse down in the marina, and I've had one. This is my 4th year owning it. And just seeing what they've done down there is just, I love it. I actually hang out down there all summer long now at Fishman Jack's and the South Fork Baking, and they're adding more restaurants right now.
That's right. There's quite a big investment that's being made down there, and it's really exciting. You'll see people. I can't wait.
The energy on the weekends, you guys, is so awesome. Like a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and the sun's out on the, what do you call it, the pier, the boardwalk around there is just awesome.
And for folks that are tired of having to drive to Seattle and Bellevue for those assets, having those right in our own backyard is amazing.
Yeah, amen.
So perception number 3 is that Everett lacks cultural and lifestyle amenities. We hear that a lot, and people assume that if you want arts or music or a vibrant scene, you have to drive to Seattle. But even if you spend just one weekend here, you're going to quickly realize that Everett has its own energy and it's growing fast.
Love it.
A couple examples of that is maybe folks don't realize that we have a world-class arboretum and garden with the sculpture park at Legion. It's an absolute gem. It's beautiful, it's accessible, and it also bucks up to this amazing Legion Park, which is great for sporting events as well as a playground and a great place for families. The Everett Music Initiative, we're really well known for the Fisherman's Village Music Festival and these waterfront concerts that started as a grassroots movement, but has completely put Everett on the map for live music. We are now beginning to be known as the country western capital here in Everett.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the Boot Scoot Boogie is for real.
Okay.
And so it's been a lot of fun for our community that loves to line dance, loves quality live music, and getting these international shows in country western
awesome.
has been amazing. The historic Everett Theater, they recently were purchased and have gone under a complete new renovation.
Cool.
And you'll start seeing a lot more national live acts and community acts coming in, concerts, plays, community program. And if you haven't been to Apex Everett, okay, imagine an old 5-story Oddfellows building that has now been completely rehabilitated, revitalized as the world's largest graffiti museum.
Oh, really?
It houses the Dogtown collection. In addition to a fine dining 5-star steakhouse, the new El Cid opened last week, a 24-hour craft coffee and craft cocktail bar for 21 and up, dedicated to the El Cid is named after Sid Vicious and the punk movement. It's a beautiful room. It's elegant, and you know, if you want a little, I don't know, espresso martini instead of your espresso, you can get one there.
So I just heard you say 5-star steakhouse and I was sold. So
I mean, that is, I mean, we don't have a lot of 5-star here in Everett, and they are setting the pace, and they are enjoying a really dedicated following.
I love that.
And speaking of 5-star, for folks that haven't visited the Shack Art Center, it is a world-class glass blowing facility. It's our crown jewel. It's an interactive art space where visitors can watch live glass blowing. They can view exhibits. They're world class. We have international glass artists that come and use that facility, and you're able to not only watch them, but if you want to, you can even sign up for a class.
Love that.
And now moving to kind of number 4. And number 4 is Everett's business climate is stagnant. And that is absolutely not true. It's not stagnant, it's growing, we're innovating, and that these opportunities are unlimited. And some examples of that are our small business strength. We have a strong base of locally owned restaurants and shops and professional services. You're part of it. Most of your clients are, you know, not only the smalls, you have the large too. But it's really exciting that we have a growing network of folks. We also have, you know, this stellar advanced manufacturing and maritime industry. I will mention one of our kind of fun thing that that you'll see when you visit Everett. Everett Ship Repair, they purchased the former Washington State Ferry Elwha. They have turned that into their floating office on the Everett waterfront.
Oh, really?
It's amazing.
Wow.
And actually we'll be having a members only event on the deck of the Elwha with Dick's Restaurant. They're
That's
bringing in their
really
food
cool.
truck. And so we'll be feeding our chamber members
No
on the deck
way.
of the ferry. Yeah, is that cool?
That's
but
really
I love
cool.
that idea of innovation, of, you know, kind of that sense of place that they've created. So here's this, you know, amazing, you know, ferry maritime company that said, yeah, our office has to be a ferry.
That's legit.
I know, right?
That is so legit. Okay.
And then entrepreneurship, we have tons of creative ventures like craft breweries, boutique retailers, and co-working spaces that have popped up that are really kind of shaping, you know, what our small business incubator kind of spaces look like. And then we have those major employers. Think about Funko and Little Bipsy, which really started as home occupancy business. Like Funko started in somebody's garage.
Yep.
Little Bipsy started in her apartment, and they are now multi-billion-dollar brands.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they all started here in Everett.
Good old Everett. Yep.
For sure. And then I will just close with the fifth misconception, and that's that Everett is a challenging place to run a business, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. We do have access to resources. Our chamber can help you navigate permitting, licensing, growth strategies. We have access to our city leadership that is very attuned to the business community and want to make it easy and streamlined. Workforce development, our partners at Everett Community College, WSU. We've got the Water Center, the Advanced Technical Training Center right at Payne Field. So if you have workforce development needs and you want to have access to be able to define curriculum of today's worker, those are things that you'll find in Everett that with ease. And we have a collaborative ecosystem that will help with mentorship and networking and joint projects that we also help foster at the chamber. And then regional influence, because the city is the largest city and that we are the county seat. I think that Everett does have a place at the table, and we get to help define what that regional influence looks like.
That's really cool. Okay, fascinating. 5 fascinating misconceptions. Now, I'm going to add something to this, and I think it was to number 4. And I don't want to interrupt you because you're on a roll and delivering so much value. But Everett also is the home, to correct me if I'm wrong, 3 golf courses. So you've got Memorial, you've got Legion, you've got the Country Club, right?
That's correct.
Did I miss one?
No, you
have
it.
So Walter Hall was my summer job in college.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, greenskeeper at Walter Hall, and then they were renovating Memorial during that time. But 3 great golf courses. You've got, we already talked about the marina. We talked about downtown, but you've got so many amenities. You've got the marina on one side and you have the river on the other side, right?
Absolutely. And what's so cool is they're both accessible.
Yeah. You outdoor enthusiasts, just trust me, come and visit. I always tell people this when they're relocating to the Pacific Northwest. Before you buy a home in an area, maybe do an Airbnb and live in that area for a couple of days, right? And I encourage you to do that if you're not familiar with Everett. Spend some time for a couple of days downtown on Colby. Colby Avenue is not the Colby Avenue 10 years ago.
I agree. It's much more activated. We're starting to see investment in attractions and restaurants because to activate a downtown, you need to have shopping. You need to have food. And so while we love our professional services, while we keep that foot traffic moving, having shopping is really, really important.
Well, just what we've seen you guys do with the farmers markets right behind us, with the Cruise and Colby's, the 3-on-3 tournaments, the other different fairs that you have. You shut down Colby, parts of Colby, to bring in these businesses and bring in these amenities for residents and for people. So
that's
really
right.
Great.
And so that way they feel like I don't have to drive to Seattle. I don't have to drive out of the city. And even if you decided to, you're only 40 minutes away.
Well, we chose to move our corporate office of New American Funding right here on Colby Avenue, curbside, for a reason. We love the future of Colby, of Everett. We love what's going on here. It's a killer environment. It's great for our customers to be able to come in. Great for our employees too, to be able to come in here and work here. I want to end with this. So this is the first part of a 3-part series. Our next guest is the mayor of Everett, Cassie Franklin. She's actually coming in next. And I wanted to have you in first to kind of tee up Cassie's vision and some of the things that she's really working on as well. So this was just so valuable. And then the third part of this series is we're bringing in one of the top real estate agents that works in the Everett community. He's a big part of the community. And so you're going to see a 3-part series to really just learn everything you need to learn about Everett, living in Everett. And I want to anchor down today with this. And I just absolutely love it. It was bullet point number 5. It was misconception number 5. I learned this, that the commerce is here. You're here, Wendy, and your team is here to help someone with a vision of having a business in Everett and just not knowing. Let's say, you got this little clothing line that you kind of been dealing with or have this vision for. How do you launch it? How do you start a business license? How do you deal with all the steps? And I love that you mentioned that you're here as a resource and a guide.
Absolutely. And I had a business when I was 23 years old in the heart of downtown Everett, and I wish I had the chamber that we offer today, because there are resources that people had never even considered, and they're many times free and abundant. And you just need to know you just need to know us. You just need to know the chamber, because we can set you up with that.
Well,
and I appreciate you mentioning that.
I loved that too, because it's so confusing when you're starting a business, because I've done the same. And okay, now you get the business going, you got this great vision. Now you need to meet people and you need to connect. And the fact that you can facilitate connections and all of that for a young or a new entrepreneur is just awesome. So, all right, last two things in the last 30 seconds. Someone listening to this, like, I really love everything you're saying here. I want to connect with you. How do I connect with you, Wendy?
Very easy. You can go on www.everettchamber.org.
Okay.
You can access all of our resources online, how to start a business. There's infographics on our economy here, as well as what events that we have. And you can even sign up online. We make it so easy.
I love that. I love that. So if you are an existing client of mine that I've helped and found this valuable, let me know. If you're thinking about moving to Everett and you're just starting the process and you're getting to work with me, let me know if I can answer any additional questions or make the introduction to Wendy. And the last thing I want to ask you and I want to leave you with, did we miss a misconception? Was there something that you wanted to learn or was hoping to learn from today that we didn't cover in the top 5? Because maybe there's more, right? Reach out to me, DM me, reach out to Wendy with that, and we'll see you on the next one with Mayor Cassie Franklin. Bye for now.
Bye.